So as we head out for the holiday season, just important to keep in mind that, things with coronavirus are not going so well. Let's throw this map up there on the screen. Basically, almost every single state except Hawaii is now classified as having, quote, uncontrolled spread of COVID-19. But what's important to understand there is we've been talking and looking at a lot about this. I think there's been a lot of shaming going on around small gatherings and all that. And I understand where it's coming from. But we were just looking at, there's a New York Times story out from yesterday, headline, small gatherings spread the virus. But are they causing the surge? And the truth is that corona is so widespread is that there's no evidence that itself is what's driving the surge. They're basically like, look, we don't know where everybody's getting it. They're like, it could get it from anywhere.
Yeah.
And in many cases, contract tracing, it's like prisons, nursing homes continue to be a really big problem, healthcare centers as well. And so a lot of the social restrictions and others that are being into place are really being put in place not with an eye towards what's the real problem. I mean, the real problem is we let it get so out of control that there's not a lot you can do at this point from what we're standing.
I mean, the places, so part of and this was a New York Times report, part of what they said is it's so widespread, it's everywhere that contact tracing is basically impossible.
Yeah,
so
right.
Part of why, prisons and nursing, all the confined facilities like that have been and continue to be a major driver, but it's also much easier to contact trace so you know where that came from. The other thing that has caused a lot of cases is indoor bars in particular, but also restaurants, gyms, those sorts of things have been a major contributor. But there actually isn't a lot of evidence that small family gatherings have been a massive contributor to the spike.
Right.
Now, what does that mean? Look, again, part of what they raise here is we really don't know because it's so widespread, it's impossible to contact trace. So it may be contributing to part of the surge. We just really literally can't get the data to know that for sure. And as we're all planning our Thanksgivings, I think everybody just has to keep it as small as possible, use their best judgment, follow the best public health guidelines and, the acceptable level of risk for yourselves and your family. By the way, this will be our last live show before Thanksgiving, so we'll go ahead and say happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
We love you.
We appreciate you. But yeah, it's incredibly bad situation, and we have public officials who have been confusing, frankly, in what they've put out there, and a lot of the restrictions don't actually make sense. So we covered here the outrageous situation. New York City decides to close their schools. Schools have not been shown, especially with young children, to be a major factor in spread. Meanwhile, bars and restaurants, which are a known factor and major contributor to spread, are open. So you see things like that and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Or people going, above and beyond and like condemning and shaming people for having small family gatherings, but again, still having bars and restaurants open and certain gatherings open in different situations in different states. Cuomo has, again, messed up and really stepped in it. Of course, he's been very aggressive, encouraging people to stay home. Don't go visit your family for Thanksgiving. This is good advice. Look, if you want to play it safe, make sure you stay home, keep the gatherings as small as possible. That's all good advice. Is he himself following that advice, though? Let's take a listen.
The story is my mom is going to come up, and two of my girls is the current plan.
Yeah, and he actually canceled it after outrage. His mother is like in her 80s. She's like 87 or something like that. And he's just spent the better part of a week being like, please don't have a gathering. He canceled it for now. Who knows whether he'll make up his mind.
But the idea that you're out there.
It's outrageous.
How are you not thinking this through? You're out there telling people you need to stay home. Do not travel. Do not visit your family. And it's just like, my mom, my daughter's going to come in. It's going to be great.
Same thing with Gavin Newsom, and you can see this everywhere. And I want to highlight this because I just think that the way that it's being handled is ridiculous. I hate to sound like a libertarian, but I start to turn into one. Like, look at Oregon. Let's throw this up there on the screen. The governor is encouraging citizens to call police who are violating shutdown orders during Thanksgiving. I just think this is absolute insanity. And same thing, Pennsylvania banned the sale of liquor the day before Thanksgiving. Who do you think you're fooling here? And we see in terms of the science and more that these are not necessarily the strictures which are going to do anything. So either, close the bars and the restaurants and be serious about it, or don't. And, just say look, we have to have balance in our society. But what they're doing is They're taking all of the risk and trying to offload it onto the citizen.
That's it.
And they're trying to put everything onto the citizen. No, screw you. You're the ones who screwed all of this up, from the governors all the way up onto the federal government. And I just think a lot of people are getting very fed up here.
Well, and the reason why you have a lot of like nonsensical policies in a lot of places is because they need the tax revenue.
Yeah, they need the
from
taxes.
Bars and restaurants and gyms and all the rest. Like, I get that. But it doesn't make any sense to be like, fine to go to the bar, but you can't have like a few of your family members over to your house. And the way you phrase it is exactly right. So rather than taking on what is, look, these are tough, complicated decisions. We talked to Will Jawando here, he's a great friend of the show, and he's a council member up at large up in Montgomery County. And he walked us through like how hard it is to think through what's weighing like the economic impacts and the life and health benefits and all of those things. Like, these are really tough decisions. A lot of our public officials don't really want to have to make those tough decisions. They would rather the narrative be about individuals taking individual risky behavior rather than the societal and elite failure to respond and put in place the restrictions that actually make sense rather than ones that are just sort of like theatrical and for show. And so that's what we've been seeing going on across the country. Look, we want you guys to stay safe for Thanksgiving. Please. Be smart, stay safe, stay healthy. It really is widespread out there. I can tell you in my own personal family, we've had a couple of close calls this week. So, in my own life, I just really have this sense that it is raging out of control. And the health benefits, the death rate is down, but the health consequences last for a lifetime. It's not something to be trifled with. So be safe and enjoy, guys. Yep. More Rising for you after this.